Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you guys are new here, my name is Nicole and I make bookish content. I'm going to be doing my very first book unhaul today, which is really exciting. I have a huge stack of books that I'm ready to donate because I just don't feel like I'm going to read any of them again. I don't want to keep a book in my collection if it could be enjoyed by someone else. I just wanted to run through the books and just kind of briefly tell you why I'm going to be giving it away. So the first book that I'm going to be unhauling is The 12 Dates of Christmas by Jenny Bayliss, and I actually read this in a book swap kind of video with Christine from the Roomies Digest. Hi world, editing Nicole here. I realized that I was playing a game of Duck Duck Goose and I would choose in my video which books I wanted to give a summary for. So I wanted to go back through the video and insert little synopsis that tells you guys what the books are about in case you still are interested in checking it out. This book is about a 30-something-year-old woman who signs up for this blind dating site during the holiday season, and she has 12 dates, and each date ends up being even more disastrous than the last, and maybe after all, the guy that she was looking for has been right there before her eyes. It just was not my favorite romance book. It was really boring at times, and I stuck through it and gave it like a 2.5 star, but there's no way I'm going to be reading it again. The second book that I'm going to be unhauling is Snow Falling by Jane Gloriana Villanueva, and if you guys know the show Jane the Virgin, this is a book that is part of the show essentially, and I liked this story. It didn't really offer anything spectacular, but I did enjoy it, especially because I read it right after the show. It was a good time, but again, I don't really think that it's something I would reach for again. The next book I'm going to be unhauling is People of the Lake by Nick Scorza, and this is just a thriller book about this mysterious town by a lake, and there's a supernatural paranormal element to it, and it was definitely very spooky and obscure and very chilling, kind of gave me Stephen King vibes, but unless it's like a very juicy thriller, I don't really see a reason to keep it around, and I think it was just a bit too spooky and obscure for me, so even though I enjoyed it and gave it a 4-star, I do plan on releasing it into the world because I don't think I'm going to be reading it again. The next book I'm unhauling is The Paper Magician by Charlie N. Holmberg. So The Paper Magician is about Sione Twill, who arrives at the cottage of magician Emery Thane with a broken heart. She wanted to pursue the art of dispelling metal, and instead she got assigned to lame paper magic. However, she discovers that it's a lot more interesting than she thought, and when her magician ends up getting his heart ripped out of his chest, she has to go on this quest to save his life, and she might fall more in love with paper magic than she originally thought. And this is a fantasy that was okay. It wasn't as good as I was expecting it to be, but then again, I was kind of, you know, going in with meh like expectations because, again, Christine swapped this with me and she didn't really love it, so I don't know. I just felt like it was kind of all over the place and it didn't really give me any satisfaction. I wasn't really attached to any of the characters. There was kind of an insta-love kind of thing going on, and I just wasn't really vibing, so even though I gave it like a 3-star, I'm going to be unhauling it. The next book that I'm going to be unhauling is People Like Her by Ellery Lloyd, and I actually read this in the month of April. People Like Her is a multiple POV thriller that revolves around the world of social media and a stalker. Hello, Joe from You. Emmy Jackson is an honest Instamom who seems to have it all, but to her skeptical husband, a washed-up novelist who knows just how creative Emmy can be with the truth, she's a breadwinning powerhouse, brilliant and monetizing the intimate details of their family life. To one of Emmy's dangerously obsessive followers, she's the woman who has everything but deserves none of it. Something might happen to Emmy because this person is stalking her and stuff could go down. I enjoyed this to some extent, but it wasn't very scary and it wasn't really that interesting, but there were certain things in the book that did make me kind of have like a realization. So it did impact me positively, but I don't think I have a need to read it again. It was definitely one of those type of books that you go through once and then you're like, good. The next book that I'm going to be unhauling is Winter Spell by Claire Legrand, and initially I was so excited to read this because it's a fantasy inspired from the Nutcracker and it revolves around Clara and a Nutcracker metal prince, but it was just not what I was expecting at all. Very grim, very dark, and very just sad, and I just didn't really like it a lot. The end of the book, even though it was an ending that I wanted, I just didn't feel any kind of satisfaction, and I really don't think I'm going to be putting myself through 415 pages again. I wasn't like, wow, after the book. I was like, okay, thank goodness I'm done with it. The next book I'm going to be unhauling is The Notebook by Nicholas Sparks, and this is definitely a very cute and wholesome read. The Notebook is a romantic novel that tells the story of Ali and Noah and their adolescent love and how they eventually find their way back to each other again. I did watch the movie and love the movie years before I even picked this up, and I would say that there really wasn't anything new added that the movie didn't cover. I felt like it was a great book to movie adaptation. However, I just felt like the writing was kind of simplistic and I wasn't really invested in the storyline any more than I was in the movie, so I will be unhauling this as well. The next book that I'm going to be unhauling is The Devil Wears Prada by Lauren Weisberger. The Devil Wears Prada is about young Andy Sachs, who has landed a job that a million girls would die for. Unfortunately, her heaven-sent appointment as Miranda Priestley, who is an impossibly demanding New York fashion magazine editor, just might be the death of her. And so she's the devil who wears Prada. And I'm sure everyone knows about the cult favorite movie that was, you know, based from this book, and I enjoyed this. I actually never have watched the movie, so I'm considering doing so, but this is very much a dramatic chick flick book. However, I just didn't find myself very invested again, and it did seem to drag a little bit for me at times. I was definitely skimming and not really focused, and I just feel like that's kind of criteria for when I'm not very interested in the writing. Unfortunately, this will be another giving away. The next 3 books are all graphic novels, and I rated them all, I think, 4 stars or higher. For me, I like graphic novels, but I don't really feel the need to read them multiple times unless it's Avatar. The first is Sheets by Brenna Thumler, and this is a very, very cute, kind of wholesome but also sad book about a ghost who ends up living in this laundry store. The next book is The Witch Boy by Molly Knox Ostertag, and I liked it, but it wasn't anything special in my opinion. And then the next book is Fake Blood by Whitney Gardner, and this is about a guy who thinks that this girl is really into vampires, so he pretends to be a vampire to impress her. It's very cute and funny, but those are the graphic novels I'm going to be unhauling. Not because they were bad books by any mean, but I do have very limited space. The next book is Like Magic by Elaine Vickers, and when I initially saw the cover of this, I thought it was really cute. I purchased this online, and when it arrived, I realized that it was like an elementary school level book, so I just haven't picked it up, and I just don't really have any interest to reading it. The next book I'm unhauling is 29 Seconds by T.M. Logan, and this is a thriller about this woman who's kind of having a rough time at work, and then she intervenes and helps this father gain his kidnapped daughter back, and he offers her this very dark favor that she may or may not accept. And I just felt like it was a little bit sexist at times. I mean, the author was a male who was writing from a woman's perspective, and I just feel like he made a lot of the women very docile, and I just didn't really like it. Like, she seemed very annoying, and I just did not like the protagonist at all. She was so contradictory. Like, it didn't seem realistic, the amount of fluctuation she would be. I don't feel like it made sense, and I didn't get a satisfaction at the end. So I just think that this book is probably one of the worst thrillers I've ever read, and I'm going to be unhauling this for sure. The next book is Heartless by Marissa Meyer, and this is actually a brand new copy, hardcover. I actually received a copy of this from my boyfriend for Christmas, and he signed it, so of course, naturally, I had to give away my other copy. The next book that I'm going to be unhauling is Once and For All by Sarah Dessen, and it's even a signed copy. It was a really great read. Once again, I think I gave it a 4 to 4.5 star. It's a very wholesome romance about this girl. She's the daughter of a wedding planner, and so she knows all about love and all that kind of stuff, but she's never really been interested in love of her own, and then she meets someone that might change her mind. Even though I really, really like this, I don't think I'm going to be reaching for it again. It was a really good book. Those are all the books that I'm planning on unhauling. By no means are all of these books, or even half of these books that I did not enjoy thoroughly, but I just have to be very selective about the books that I keep in my book collection, especially because you guys can't see, but I basically have a book buying problem, and books are overflowing to the point where they don't even fit in my TBR cart, because this is my entire bookshelf, and let me just tell you, it does not fit very many books. Maybe once I move to my next place next year, it'll be a different situation, but for now, I really gotta get rid of books that I'm not absolutely going to reread, especially with all the new releases that are always coming out. I hope you guys enjoyed this very chaotic, very chatty video, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!